UFC 280 is right around the corner, and I'm going to give you my picks for the main card. First up on the main card is Kaitlyn Chookagian versus Manon Fiorot. I have to be honest, every single time Chookagian fights, I don't give a fuck. I'm not that interested. I don't get what the allure is. For some reason, the UFC keeps keeping her in, and I guess for good reason. She's racking up some wins. She's got 4 wins in her last 5 fights. She's 18-4-0. Fiorot is 9-1-0. Fiorot has 2 decisions and 3 KO/TKO wins in her last 5 fights. The girl is vicious. Fighting out of France, she's the slight favorite at -190, putting Chookagian as the slight underdog at +160. Let's keep in mind Chookagian has been knocked out before by Jessica Andrade a couple of years ago. Given the fact that Fiorot has that knockout power and Chookagian's chin has been exposed, I went with Fiorot for the win here. I did pick her by decision, but I think I'm going to change that pick to knockout. In fact, I'm going to say Fiorot by knockout in the 3rd round. Next up, Beneil Dariush versus Mateusz Gamrot. This is a very important fight for people to be paying attention to. I know we've been in a lot of discussion about Volkanovski taking the winner of Oliveira versus Makhachev, but let's not forget that Beneil Dariush is a possible contender. Dariush is 21-4-1. Gamrot has a record of 21-1-0. Dariush is the slight underdog at +165, putting Gamrot at the slight favorite at -195. Poland versus Assyria. I went with Poland in this fight. I have to be honest, guys. I like Dariush, and I think that he has a good agenda when it comes to his career, and he's doing what he has to do to get up there. But like I said before, nobody's really getting super excited for a Dariush fight, and there's a reason. Gamrot coming off of 2 knockout wins, 1 submission, and 1 decision in his latest fight. The guy's got power, and he's extremely well-rounded. Dariush does have a couple of knockout and submission wins on his latest 5 as well, but I just think that with 2 extra years of prime in his favor, that Poland is going to get the job done here. I went with Gamrot by decision because I think they're both equally tough opponents for one another, and Dariush does have a pretty good chance of winning this fight. Although I don't think that's what's going to happen, I do think that they're going to go the distance and really play with each other here. The 3rd fight of the main card, Petr Yan versus Sean O'Malley. I can't wait for this fight, guys. I'm actually really excited because I'm a huge Petr Yan fan, and I have to be honest, I fell way off the Sean O'Malley train after the whole busted ankle thing. He took that loss poorly, and it made me lose a lot of respect for him as a fighter, and I can't wait to see Petr Yan kick his butt. Mystic Moss actually has Sean O'Malley for the win here. I can't understand why, but I also can't wait to see which one of us has the pick right this weekend. Petr Yan obviously has 2 losses in his last 5. We all know where they came from. The first one was a disqualification due to the illegal knee of Aljamain Sterling, and the most recent loss, Aljamain Sterling gets the win by split decision. Although, I don't know if I fully agree with that one. A little controversial, if you ask me. Anyways, Petr Yan has never really felt the pressure of his opponents. Even in the Sterling fights where he took the losses, there was no pressure there. Petr Yan is tough. He is well-rounded. The guy is an animal inside the cage. I know Sean O'Malley should get his due credit. Coming off of 3 knockout wins in the last year and a half, the guy is shining. He also has great marketability for the UFC. A lot of people are on the O'Malley train. He's doing something right. But with that said, Petr Yan is still the moderate favorite at a whopping -310. This is definitely a fight that I could see Moss betting on, having O'Malley for the win. Russia versus the US, Petr Yan at 29 years old, Sean O'Malley 27. This is going to be an epic fight. No matter who you have in this pick, I definitely think it's going to be worth it. So I have Petr Yan by KO/TKO in the 2nd round. Next up, our co-main event, Aljamain Sterling versus TJ Dillashaw. Another very interesting fight. TJ Dillashaw coming out of suspension, ready to show off what he's got at this new age. A new version of himself at 36 years old. I'm very interested to see what type of TJ Dillashaw we get. Also, I believe Aljamain Sterling has been making some USADA comments towards Dillashaw. I don't know if he's setting up excuses for himself to lose or what, but it's going to be very interesting to see. After seeing Aljamain Sterling's performance against Petr Yan, I don't even know if he has a chance in this one, I have to be honest. A lot of people are going to be in favor of Aljamain Sterling, given that he's the champ and he has technically defended his title. That said, Aljamain Sterling has been under a massive scrutiny as of late due to a controversial tweet. I wonder if this pressure from outside sources and MMA fans is going to get to him and kind of get inside his head, and he's not going to be able to focus on this fight as much as he thinks he will. So with all of that, I actually chose Dillashaw by KO/TKO in the 2nd round, not just because I like Dillashaw, but I actually think that he's going to have something to bring here, and he's a little less distracted. He's got a reason to put focus into this one. For our main event, Charles Oliveira versus Islam Makhachev, you guys already know where I'm headed. I've said it a million times on the show. I'm a big Charles Oliveira fan. Of course I'm going to pick him. I'm very biased in this one, so please take this pick with a grain of salt. I know Islam Makhachev is an extremely tough opponent. He also trains with one of my favorite fighters in Khabib Nurmagomedov. That being said, I know Khabib has been talking up Islam, saying that Charles Oliveira doesn't have a ground game, which is entirely untrue. This might be the first time that I have to severely disagree with Khabib. Charles Oliveira's ground game is pretty impeccable. Does it match up with Islam Makhachev? Well, we'll find out on Saturday night. Charles Oliveira has 41 professional fights on his record, only 8 losses in all of those. He is the slight underdog at plus 155. Islam Makhachev does sit at the slight favorite at minus 180. But they're still so close in odds that I can't assume that Islam Makhachev might slip up and show a weakness here. Also, Charles Oliveira's striking is pretty decent, but I do have some concerns. His last 2 fights with Dustin Poirier and Justin Gaethje kind of opened up some remarkable weaknesses that were exposed. I did see Charles Oliveira get rocked a couple times in both fights. He wasn't knocked down, but you could tell he was definitely clipped. Islam Makhachev does have knockouts on his record, and if he catches Oliveira in just the right spot, he could take home a knockout win in this fight. This is Brazil versus Russia, 33-year-old Charles Oliveira versus a 31-year-old Islam Makhachev. Both guys arguably in their primes. Both guys striving for that title, a reason to show up, a reason to focus, a reason to give it all they've got. After watching some of the UFC embeddeds and seeing Oliveira's training compared to Islam Makhachev's training, I think this is going to be a pretty tough fight for both of them, but I still have to lean in favor of my guy Oliveira. I went with Oliveira by a shocking submission in the 3rd round. I know it's kind of pushing it a little bit, but it's something that I really think that we're going to see happen. I would love to know what your guys' picks are for the main card at UFC 280. Let me know in the comment section down below. This is going to be an exciting weekend, and I can't wait to see you guys all there. We will be live for the entire event, so make sure you hit like, hit subscribe, and hit that notification bell as always. This is your UFC 280 picks with your favorite MMA Quick Takes.